going on? It's the end of the day. Gonna have some fun with this talk. So, I'm honored to call myself a founder, right? I've had the privilege in life, and I've had enough support around me that people said that you should be a founder. So who here in the room is a founder? Awesome. I think one of my goals in life is to make sure people know that they can be a founder if they'd like to. So hopefully through this talk, you'll learn a thing or two about startups, a thing or two about what I've learned through my journey, and hopefully I challenge you and make some terrible jokes along the way. Sound good? Let's do it. So, I was lucky enough to found a company called Startup Weekend. Has anybody been to a Startup Weekend? Yes, a couple. So it's now in 162 countries. It's about 10 years old. It's this novel concept that we should get together as groups like this and actually hack and build companies over a weekend. Let's actually know each other in the community and not just talk about, oh, I'm a marketer, you're a designer. Let's actually build something together and work on it and build community through a startup ecosystem. So I want you to humor me. Do you have dreams? I know I do. That's why I'd like to tell you about my exciting business opportunity. Can you guys help me out with that? Exciting, business opportunity. One more time, come on. Exciting business opportunity. Exciting business That didn't really work, did it? Why? Right? You've heard that before, right? The classic MLM pitch, the classic multi-level marketing scam. Do you have dreams? I know I do. It doesn't work because it's hype. It doesn't work because it's not based in reality. It doesn't work because it's not authentic, and it doesn't work because it's a lie. So what is the truth about a startup? What is actually authentic? I would argue that anyone in this room can be a founder. I don't think everybody in this room would like being a founder. I don't think anybody in this room would be successful as being a founder, but I hope that you realize that you could do it. But if we're going to look at startups, we don't have to code to start it out. We don't have to actually build anything to start it out. What we have to do is become students of everything around us. So when I walk into a restaurant, and I might be weird, but you might be like me. When I walk into a restaurant, I immediately scan the room. I look at how many staff members they have, how many square feet are in the room, how many customers are sitting down, what I think the average price point of a dish is, what the price point of a dish, how many people are in the back of the house. I calculate how profitable I think they are this hour. You can do that for a restaurant. You can do that for this room. You can do that for your favorite web application. You have to construct what you think reality is. In many ways, you have to destruct that. So we're in Melbourne, beautiful city, and you've got a problem, I'm going to say. You've got this odd hipster problem where you destruct things a little too much. So here's a car where they've taken the car off of it and built it back up with Legos, and it's fully functioning, and it's at Dream Factory right now. This is a latte? What is going on here? We've got deconstructed lattes. It's delicious, by the way. This is a deconstructed zoo via Emojicon. And in many ways, Melbourne's just this beautiful deconstructed city, right? It's the most livable city in the world for many reasons. You have so much beauty here. I had my friend Robin from San Francisco last night. We go to this remarkable dinner. We catch a really great talk. We go over to the botanical gardens and catch the symphony orchestra playing the Russian classics. And he's going, the hell is this reality? How is this true? It's this beautiful city, and it's been an honor to be here. For the last 3 months, I've been the entrepreneur in residence with LaunchVic, and it's been my goal to just kind of step in, help out, take meetings, give talks, really listen to see what the entrepreneurs are having problems with and seeing what the journey is. I've been nothing but inspired by that. So let's talk about prototyping. Let's talk about startups. To construct a startup, you've got to destruct. You've got to design, and you've got to do all the things. Now, that doesn't require code, and that doesn't require a business idea. I think that you need to practice. Best soccer player in the world is Messi, Ronaldo, who else? Nikolai Bentner. Okay, no really nerdy soccer fans out there. That's cool. If I was going to go one-on-one via Messi, and I'm going to go to Barcelona, and I'm going to be in the new camp, and I've got a huge audience, and I go one-on-one, what's going to happen? I'm not only going to get embarrassed, I'm going to get hurt, right? If I'm going to enter the pro leagues as an amateur, it's dangerous. And so often when you hear about a startup, so often when you hear about this project, what do people coach? I'm going to go raise funds. I'm going to go raise venture capital. There's not enough money here. Oddly enough, you just haven't practiced yet. So if I were going to go and try to be the best footballer in the world, I'm going to go play ball in the park. And then hopefully I'm going to go down to my school and find a local league. And then hopefully I'm going to graduate and play semi-pro or amateur. And then hopefully, if I'm good enough and I've put in the work and I've found the love for the game, I'm going to get into the pro leagues. So often you just have to practice. So step one, be that student with me. I want you to think about what success looks like. And this might take 6 months for you to answer that. But really, what's going to make you happy? Now, do you want to buy the most amazing penthouse in Melbourne? Do you want to be on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine? Do you want to have 100 staff members? Do you want to have 1,000 staff members? Do you want to fundamentally put a dent on society? Or do you just want to be intellectually interested in what you do and not have a boss that you hate? That's a huge range right there, right? But you have to know that for yourself. And you need to actually put yourself in situations that you're uncomfortable enough to have an honest answer. So why are you doing a project? Why are you an entrepreneur? Why are you going to take that leap? Might take you 6 months, might take you 6 years to answer that question. But until you have an honest answer, I wouldn't start. Step two, you've got to test it. Now, have you ever heard about the stealth mode startup? I'm not going to tell anybody, and then I'm going to launch, and everybody's going to just sing my praises. Please don't do that. What I want you to do is I want you to tell everyone. If you've got an idea, I want you to talk constantly about your idea. Because your company is not really real until your customer has a vested stake in it. If you don't have a customer, if you're not listening to them, if you're not making a habit of that, you're not going to succeed. So tell everybody, I've got this idea. Here's the problem I'm trying to solve. Here's my solution. The problem's never going to change. The solution, by definition, always will. Your taxi driver, your parents, your family, your colleagues, they should all know about it. And listen to their feedback. Henry Ford said, if I listened to my customers, they wouldn't have said they wanted a car. They would have said, I wanted a faster horse, right? Well, actually, the customers were saying, I want to get there faster. But in the way they knew about the product, they wanted a faster horse. So step three, you've got to be obsessed with style. You have to be obsessed with design. Now, what do I say when I mean that? I'm a user interface designer by trade. I'm a designer. I started out in development. I went to the front-end side, and then I became an entrepreneur from there. So let's talk about design. I love the idea of service design. Service design is kind of the new hot trend in the world of entrepreneurship. And that's this concept of, it's kind of extended usability and it's kind of customer service. We'll get to that in a second. But with design, I want you to look at all these little graphics. Can we see them from way back there? These are 4 different countries representing the Olympics. Can you guess which design is from which country? It's the same sports. 4 years, 8 years, 20 years apart. Upper your right is the United States of America, the Atlanta Games. Upper left is Japan. Bottom left is Barcelona. And then bottom right is, I think I screwed that up, is Canada. Pretty interesting. The style of the designer really comes through. The style of the country, the style of the year comes through. So you're going to be a designer, and you're going to be a designer of an experience. Your customer, from the time they hear about you to the time they forget about you, you need to really love. So let's take Instagram. these are all the tools needed to build Instagram. If we were going to deconstruct and construct Instagram, what would it look like? Let's build out the user interaction design documents. Let me write a story that I can hand to a developer, and they can build fully Instagram. Do you think you could do that in a couple hours? Do you think you could do that in a couple days? What would that look like? So on the left, we've got all the things. In the middle, we've got, and then on the right, we've got my breakfast. Perfect. But really, when we're looking about this, we've got to figure out why was Instagram successful when so many else failed. So when you're designing something, you're going to talk to the customers. You're going to talk to the people that use it. So why was Instagram better? I was on Flickr. I was on Facebook. I was on Twitter. Instagram was by far better. Why? Does anybody have anything they want to be brave and yell out that's on the screen? It was faster, right? The most brilliant thing they did that nobody really talks about is they started the upload when you started writing the description on it. So when you finish your description and your tags and such, and you press post, it had already had 15 seconds to upload. And so it didn't expose to you the upload time. So when you used it, Instagram, you never had this like, oh, I'm waiting for it to load. It was just fast, and it didn't expose that to the user. I got more likes, I got more love, I got some more social validation from Instagram than I did on Flickr, right? I have 30,000 photos on Flickr, and the top one has 4 likes. And most of my Instagram photos get hundreds. And it quickly became home, right? You posted from Instagram to Facebook, to Flickr, to everything. So 3 really simple things made Instagram, and if you look at the user interface, not that amazing. We could create that in an hour, couldn't we? We could create the documents that would make that. So that's one of the most interesting startups of the last 5 years. And it just had a little thing. Now you need to get to the point where you're prototyping. Now, I highly recommend paper. I always carry my notebook. And I have a joke. If you sit down in a meeting and you're not taking notes, you're an idiot, or you think the person across from you is an idiot. You need to actually remember. You need to actually have that second part. So use paper and sketch all the time. And if you're building a startup, if you're prototyping a startup, you need to be messy. It needs to look ugly, and it needs to look like it's not polished, so when you show it to somebody, they actually give you feedback that's honest. Would you use this? It looks like this. No, I wouldn't use that. But man, wouldn't it be cool? I mean, I've always had this problem. And that feedback is gold. That is what you're looking for when you're interviewing. Step 4, tools. Now, there's a lot of tools right now. It has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. Do we all realize that? It has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. I met with 6 or 7 startups this morning with the Meet the Mentors event, and all of them, I think, are going to succeed. None of them might be bigger than this room with their customer base, but all of them are going to succeed because they have so many good tools and so many good mentors. One of the best ones right now is called Firebase. It really allows you to fully prototype and fully build apps without much knowledge and without much code, but you can really get into it. You should use Balsamiq, you should use paper, and you should really just figure out what's the simplest thing I can do that gets me the most feedback. So draw all the time. With Startup Weekend, the big joke was don't do it. It's kind of an odd thing to say after this very proper you should do it talk. But that was one of our big things we'd say. It's just like, you need to put yourself in this spot, in this beautiful spot where you can be wrong. I love travel so much. I've been fortunate enough to go to about 80 countries. And I think I love travel so much after thinking a lot about it, because if you're new to a country, it's totally okay to be wrong, right? I've been living here for 3 months. If I took a wrong turn to get to Fed Square, I would be really hard on myself. I'm an idiot. I can't believe I wasn't paying attention. I know this tram well. But if I'm new, it's an adventure. I'm seeing a new part of the city. I'm being very kind to myself. So you need to give yourself permission to fail. And part of doing that is giving yourself permission to start. So if you want to try out a startup, like prototype it out. And at the end of the night, you've got some feedback and whatever, throw it away. It's awesome. Give yourself permission to fail. But know that you can. Absolutely know that you can be an entrepreneur. There's an amazing, so I used to set my timer in a meeting when I'd have a one-on-one meeting. And people would always ask two questions. One was, what's the difference between entrepreneurs in the States versus entrepreneurs in Australia? And the second one was, what do you think about tall poppy syndrome? Tall poppy syndrome came up at about 5 minutes. The US-Australian divide came up at about 10 minutes. Tall poppy is an interesting thing. It's like kind of, you have this pride for quality, but you also have this idea that you shouldn't be too arrogant or forward. Hello, I'm an American. We don't have problems with those things. But you should be able to put yourself in a spot where you have dreams, and you should, in that, be a part of this room, be a part of this group. So if you see that, that's my ask to you. If you see that, just stop, right? You're gonna succeed together. You're going to work together for the next 10 years. You might look around this room. I would love to take a picture of this room, tag everybody, and then check back in 5 years. And I guarantee there's co-founders that have not met each other that are in this room. How beautiful is that, right? So just support each other. You're making a bet right now, and you're making a bet that somehow an information withhold or a cut down of them is gonna do you better. And I'm just gonna say, stop it. Doesn't do it. Doesn't help you out. With that, I would say that it's really important to celebrate people that are doing amazing things. Michelle, can I pick on you for a second? So besides being an amazing MC, Michelle is actually a part of a startup called Baja Board. Do you guys know Baja Board? Baja Board is a Tesla longboard that can go off-road. It is by far the coolest thing that I've been on and touched tactily in the startup world in the last 5 years. She's in Melbourne. She's a part of the community. Absolutely celebrate the ups, the downs, and the middle of that journey. That's my challenge to everybody in the room. So my name's Andrew. My Twitter username is Unicorn. And that's my email. And I really mean this. If you need help, ask. Being a part of a startup and being a part of this genre, you've kind of got this moment. I'll share this story. I was in a meeting with a venture capitalist, and the venture capitalist was kind of breaking down the entrepreneur. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me your marketing plan is to catch a slowly cascading sequence of miracles? And so the term cascade of miracles then became my favorite term for startups. So in many ways, you're just looking for a break, and you're going to do all those things, and you're going to train, and you're going to fall in love with the sport, and you're going to put yourself in the position where you can succeed. And then you hand it over to the beauty of the world. Cool. Thank you guys so much.